So we are on the third chapter and on the question of Arjun. The concluding portion of this third chapter is where we see Arjun asking a question to Sri Krishna. Earlier Bhagavan has spoken about Swadharma, how to reduce Raga and Dvesha. So now comes this very universal question of Arjun, which is there in everyone's mind. And we see that in shloka number 36. Arjuna uvacha atha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi varshneya baladiva niyojitaha. So he says here, Arjuna asked this question, Atha kena prayuktoyam, prompted by what? Papam charati purushaha. A person commits wrong acts or sins, anichannapi, unwillingly actually. Meaning one knows that this is wrong and yet one is unwillingly doing it. Baladiva niyojitaha, as though one is pushed by some force to do what is wrong. So what is that within us because of which unwillingly, though we know what is wrong, yet we are pushed to do what is wrong? That is the question of Arjuna. So he asked this also in the context of what was said earlier, that live your own Swadharma. It is better to die in one's own Swadharma than to copy somebody else's Dharma. So though we know many of these, why is it that it is not applicable? Why are we not able to apply? And not only we are not able to apply, we are as though doing something wrong, the opposite of what we know. So what is that force within us? Actually it's not even asked within us. I mean, kena prayuktoyam, prompted by what? So many people may give many reasons for it. That what prompts us to commit sin, even though we know it is wrong, even though we don't want to do it, but what makes us sin? There may be different factors for it. Somebody may talk about external factors, saying that maybe it is the people around me, maybe it is the law of this place where I am staying, maybe it is the planetary positions, maybe the vastu of my house is not proper. Maybe one alphabet is missing in my name. So many factors outside can be also given that these may cause. Oh no, maybe God is partial. God doesn't want me to live a happy life. God is punishing me for this. So many reasons one gives. Or it could be internal reasons also. Sometimes it can be the bad company. Yes, people around me, they push me to do the wrong. Karna was such a nice person, but he got into wrong company. So it may be many of these external factors. Or maybe my internal attachment, because of which I am doing the wrong. Maybe I am swayed by paradharma. Something else looks more attractive to me. It is more tempting to follow that. It is much more easier to do that than to follow the path of righteousness. My own comfort zone. So there can be so many factors to be which can be given that which make a person do the wrong things. So of all the different factors that he gives here, maybe my understanding was clouded, maybe I am evil person. Some people are very proud of that I am evil. And they proclaim also, I am not that goody types. I am like this one, I am evil, I am cunning, I am malicious. To live in this world, I have to be like that. So, there can be many factors which may prompt us to do the same. Anything that you can think of, what makes us sin? Knowingly, that also.
You see the benefit of it in the short run.
The immediate benefit of it. Okay. Instant gratification definitely makes a person commit sin. Not every form of instant gratification will make a person do it, but quite a few can. You were saying something.
Well, selfishness makes you.
Selfishness. But here it is that I am committing a sin, hurting myself only. See, in selfishness I can hurt somebody for my benefit. No? In this, unwillingly I am doing things which are hurting me only. Like, example, smoking. That is known that it will cause cancer, it will cause all kinds of troubles. Yet unwillingly, why does one do? Smoking, drinking, telling lies, cheating, so many things like that one does. Unwillingly one does the wrong. Where one is hurting oneself actually. What is that factor that makes us hurt ourselves? Injure ourselves. And we know the consequences also. If nothing, put it on Bhagwan's Maya, saying that this is the Maya of Bhagwan. He made the world like that. So helpful. So this is the question that Arjun has asked. Logically, if we think about it, it is question only doesn't stand actually. Because logically, if we think about it, why will we want to hurt ourselves? But in the daily life we see we are hurting ourselves. We know that forgiveness is that which will set us free. But we still hold on to the grudge, revenge, so many things like that, which hurt us only. So at different levels, unwillingly we do what is going to disturb us, agitate us. So sin means that in our culture, sin means self-insulting action. Any action which is insulting my own intelligence, which hurts me, disturbs my peace of mind, creates agitation, that is called as sin. Externally, when it is said that don't tell lies, otherwise you will incur sin. Don't kill others, you will incur sin. So that is for somebody who is not able to discriminate so clearly. For them the set of rules are necessary to do this, don't do this. Do's and don'ts are very crucial here. Like a small child will not know. So one has to be told, don't do this. Don't go near that fire. It's a rule for the child. The child doesn't know better. So there are many such unknown factors in spirituality because of which for us to discriminate what is right, what is wrong may be difficult at a certain stage. So spirituality puts down the rules, saying it do's and don'ts. If you do this, you will get punya. If you do this, you will get pap. It's a very broad general guideline. But that does not mean that that alone will be true every time. If you kill, you will incur sin. But if an army soldier kills, he will not incur sin. Arjun's case is that. So the capacity to discriminate what is right and wrong has to be there. Then we determine with the intention with which it is done that what is right, what is wrong. But here the question also is that one should know what will lead to sin. And here one knows also that this is what will disturb my mind. So in general for people, when do's are followed, then we say you will be happy. When don'ts are followed, we say you will be disturbed. When you are incurring sin, you will suffer. So that at least out of that understanding, one will stop doing the wrong things and hurt oneself. As one grows, one will know the reason for it. And naturally one will start following. But that is where the difficulty comes. That now that one is growing in thinking and intelligence and one knows right and wrong, good and bad, what will be making us happy, what will make us disturbed, yet what is that within us which pushes us to do the wrong? Unwillingly, yet knowingly we do what is wrong. So that's a common question that comes in everyone's mind. So sin doesn't mean only something which is morally harmful or which is a crime. So I want to get up in the morning and go for a jog. And I know how much that is important because that's the only time I have in the morning to go for a jog. And yet, if I am making that resolve also and wanting to get up, putting all the efforts for it, but next day morning when I wake up, I again go back to sleep. Don't land up in that, get up in that time and don't land up in the place where the gym or the exercise zone is. Then there is a guilt or there is a feeling that I did not do what I had to do. So that also is called as a sin because it disturbed the mind. Where I insulted my own intelligence. In me I have created a split. So sin here, when it said papam jarati purushaha, it does not mean only the ethically or morally unacceptable actions. It also means those where I am insulting my own intelligence. I am not able to follow what I have decided to follow. And why it is called as sin? Because the harm that comes there is not very clear to us. The pleasure that one derives out of sleeping for some more time is more overpowering than the harm which comes. And what is the harm? The subtle harm which has come is that my willpower has become weak. Not only it has become weak, it has got dented very badly. My capacity to take a sankalpa, resolve, and to fulfill that resolve, that is gone to that extent. Next time when I have to take a resolve, it won't be as strong because the mind will say that. How many times you have taken such a resolve? What is the use? You are not even able to follow it. So that's an insult of my own intelligence, my own potential, my own capacities of self-mastery. Hence, papam, the word papam is indicating all these. Something which is forbidden, which is harmful, which is wrong. Something which may not be of this nature, but which harms the intelligence, hurts the willpower in me, which disturbs me and sometimes it disturbs other people also. So all those actions come under sin. And knowingly one commits the sin. So Bhagavan is asked this question by Arjuna, that what is that power? Because it's important to understand that aspect if I have to integrate the mind and the intellect. Duryodhana had the same problem. And he says, Janami dharmam nachame pravritti. I know what is right, what is dharma, but I cannot follow it. And Janami adharmam nachame nivritti. I know what is wrong and yet I am not able to withdraw from it. And he also says, Kenapi devena hridisthitena. In me there is something which is as though pushing me to do the wrong. Kenapi devena hridisthitena. From in me there is something which is inside me, which is pushing me to do the wrong, in spite of me not willing. So Arjuna and Duryodhana, both of them have asked the same question. But Arjuna found the answer from Sri Krishna because he surrendered and he asked. Duryodhana just left it as a victim. He lived his life as a victim. Yeah, I don't know what is that power, I am just pushed. And so here now Sri Krishna goes ahead and he explains the reason. And this last portion of this third chapter is a very, very beautiful portion of. We'll see what is the answer and then we move ahead. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kama Esha Krodha Esha Rajo Guna Samudbhavaha Mahashano Mahapapma Vidhyena Miha Vairinam. So many factors we listed earlier. No doubt some of them may be responsible for what we do sometimes. But the main factor, because of which one is pushed to do the wrong, knowingly yet unwillingly, is two factors, he says. Kama Esha, Krodha Esha. He says this desire and anger. But he doesn't stop with that. He says that one very important clarification he gives, and he says Rajoguna Samudbhavaha. That desire and anger which are born out of Rajoguna, not out of Sattva-guna. Rajoguna, by implication it also means Tamoguna. So those desires, but specifically Rajoguna he mentions. Because sometimes a desire born out of Tamoguna will only make us more lethargic and lazy. They may not immediately agitate the mind. Later on they will. That's the time when it has become Rajasic. So here he says Rajoguna Samudbhava. The desire and anger born out of Rajoguna, they are the cause. Maha Ashana. They consume totally the peace of mind. Maha Papma. They are the cause of all great sins. Vidhyena Miha Vairinam. And know these to be your enemy. So now this is the answer that Bhagavan has given. Kama Esha Krodha Esha. So first is Kama. So what is that Kama which is born out of Rajoguna? The quality of Rajoguna is greed, attachment, insecurity. Is a quality of Rajoguna. So no matter how much one has, because there is greed, that is not enough. So more and more one wants of the same thing, or something new one seeks because one gets bored of this, what one is doing. So that excitement, that attachment to pleasure. The first point what one makes is that our attachment to pleasure seeking and the excitement which comes from that makes us compromise. You think about it. When I am not able to get up in the morning and go for the job, what is it that is pushing me, or not making me go out and jog? Is the pleasure that one derives out of
Sleep.
that sleep. See, if one is sleep deprived, it is still understandable. Sometimes one is not sleep deprived also. One has slept enough. But then comes this desire. The desire for pleasure actually is the root cause. That is born out of this Rajoguna and Tamoguna. Mainly out of Rajoguna because insatiable thirst it is, Trishna. So when a person has this greed and is attached to certain types of pleasure, whatever be that attachment, that will make a person compromise. Suppose one is attached to money, then in that point, in that aspect, one will compromise, one will be corrupt, one will want to have more and more and more and more of money. Knowingly also one will do. Why? Because that greed is there. So the pleasure from where it comes, whether it comes from money, whether it comes from sense object, it comes from people, it comes from situation, depending on from where that pleasure one is seeking, there will be the greed for it. And to fulfill that greed, one will go to any extent. And the sad part is that Rajoguna born pleasure is such that it will never get fulfilled. Because the nature of Rajoguna is insatiable thirst. It is like that chips, if you eat chips. You keep eating one after the other, one packet of Lay's over, another packet, and third packet, one keeps eating. And the more one eats, the more one feels like eating. So I'll give you one secret of how to break out of it. Secret is very simple. The moment that one packet is over, get up, go wash your mouth, over. So as long as that taste lingers inside, it will want more and more satisfaction. So more and more one wants to eat. Just go, get up, wash your mouth, then you are okay. No, Swamiji, I am exceptional. After that also it comes. Then I can't help. Continue. I use this method. If you feel, get up. After a certain amount you have eaten, go wash the mouth, come back. Then at least the desire is lesser. So it is like that. Many times that greed is such that it doesn't get fulfilled only how much ever one has. Temporarily it appears to have got satisfied because the law of diminishing returns will work. But while one has indulged in it, the impression for it has already got created. So again it will lead. That's why those people who believe in that, that if by indulgence you can overcome desires, are mistaken. Impossible. In further, Bhagavan will come to that. One shloka he will say that. Long back, I don't know, there was one movie in Tamil which came. I'm born and brought up in Chennai, so sometimes when I was in my college and all that time I've seen some. So there was one movie of Rajnikant which came in Tamil. I forgot the name of the movie now. In that the Rajnikant has a double role. So there's one father and there's one son. So this son is very attached to smoking. And what he does, he keeps hiding from his father and he keeps smoking. So the father finally comes to know that this fellow is smoking and he doesn't want to smoke in front of me. But he is attached to that. So he puts him in a room where there are only cigarettes. And he says, you smoke. And 7 days he is inside that room. Keeps on smoking. Of course, whatever is food and all that is also there. And on the 7th day when the door opens and he walks out, he is freed from that habit of smoking. And is shown such a glorious way. Wow. On the movie screen it will look very nice. And Rajnikant may be able to do it also. Because he is Rajnikant. But we can't do it. 7 days if one smokes like that, one will not survive first of all. And if one thinks that by that time I would have got saturated and forever that pleasure is gone, it will not happen. Only one will be disgusted with it for some time because it's monotonous then. So one will want a change of pleasure. And the moment that happens, again one will come back to this after some time. So the Rajoguna born desire is like that. It is insatiable thirst. How much one would have enjoyed different types of pleasures. How much money, how much enjoyment, how much ice cream, cake, pastry, so much one would have eaten. But does one feel satisfied? Even if diabetes is there, still if that pastry is brought in front, bas, gone. Control doesn't last. Why? Because it is Rajoguna born. So if one thinks that by fulfilling that desire one will be out of it, that will not happen. And that's why Bhagavan wants very clearly. Those desires which are born out of Rajoguna, they will cause us to compromise. Desires born out of Sattva-guna will lead us to more and more self-mastery, more and more balance. See, the characteristic of Rajoguna, one is insecurity. So at the emotional level, one constantly wants to prove oneself. Then in that one may land up hurting oneself also. Sometimes one may hurt people around also. I want to prove myself. One will do the wrong things to get to the top somewhere and prove that this is what I am, this is what I can do. And sometimes it is done out of revenge also. Earlier days there used to be such movies used to come. I forgot, some movie was there, Amitabh Bachchan's movie was there. He used to play like that role, where he will take up wrong, what is that called, the villain side, and he will reach on the top. But inside he will keep suffering. He is not happy. Which is that movie? There is one movie in which that famous dialogue is there, "Mere paas maa hai." Oh, Diwar is there, Diwar. It looks like some last life I had seen. Far away somewhere. So like that. So one may do the wrong thing, one may hurt. How much Karna hurt himself to reach where he reached? Finally what happened? He cheated with his teacher also, you just think about it. Parshuram said, I will not teach you because you are, I don't teach Kshatriyas. I will teach only if you are a Brahman. And he said, yes, I am a Brahman. Had he told the truth at that time and explained the reason why he wants and how Dronacharya has forsaken him and how he was abandoned in childhood, he could have said all that. Maybe Parshuram would have considered his case. But he told the lies straight away. Knowingly he told the lies. And gained all the knowledge also. So there his Rajoguna made him tell lies, compromise, and he gained the knowledge which is higher, which is Sattvic. And what happened at the end of it? The truth cannot be hidden. So Parshuram came to know that he is a Kshatriya, he cannot be a Brahmana, he cannot have these kind of qualities of such physical endurance when there is a worm, there is that insect which is biting and the blood is flowing out. And he was cursed. So he hurt himself so much. Why? Because Rajoguna. I have to prove myself as the greatest warrior. So when that Rajoguna born desire comes, that will make us compromise. And that's why he gives two reasons. One is Kama, another is Krodha. Out of revenge, out of anger, sometimes one takes up to doing certain things which are harmful and hurtful. Because I want to prove something to somebody, or to myself, or I want to take a revenge, something I want to do, where that anger needs an outlet. Then those desires which are born out of anger, sometimes we feel that let this person see how I am destroying myself. That is the punishment for that person. Sadistic type of thinking. In all those, one knowingly harms oneself, hurts oneself. So, Rajoguna Samudbhava. Both can lead. Desires born out of Rajoguna can also lead one to compromise, and anger, definitely Rajasic. And sometimes to that anger becomes egoistic anger. That is the anger which hurts. That is the anger which makes us compromise. So Bhagavan says these two, Rajoguna Samudbhava. So one quality of Rajoguna is insecurity. Second quality of Rajoguna is greed. So even if I compromise, there is limit is not there. It keeps on going down. And third quality of Rajoguna is imbalance. So extremities. Sattva Guna quality is balance. Rajoguna quality is working in extremes. So is it not true that in today's life we are hurting ourselves? Knowingly we are hurting ourselves because of Rajoguna. We know that 8 hours of sleep is necessary. Every 3 hours eating something is necessary. Getting up and walking every 2 hours is necessary. All that we know. But lifestyle is so extreme that either we are swinging on one side and continuously engaged in work, irrespective of health, irrespective of relationships, become workaholic. And then 6 days if I am that side, 7th day I am on this side. Keep swinging. So those make us compromise, Rajoguna. Because that is the quality of Rajoguna. And we may have justifications. That is the fourth reason. That justifications make us compromise. So even in this case, we will have justification that today we don't have a choice. If I don't live like that, somebody else will do it. So company will not keep me, they will keep somebody else. Then how will I survive? So there will be justification, there will be reason, and there will be a certain adjustment or justification in the mind saying that if I have to be successful, the stress is the price I have to pay. So the mind will swing between both. So these four qualities are there of Rajoguna, because of which a person, the desires born out of Rajoguna hurt a person. And the person will feel the pain, one will know also this is not. Sometimes when one feels intensely, then one wants to get out of it also. Other times one makes compromise, it's okay, I can still adjust. Whatever damage is caused, I can still offset it with something else. So one continues. So Kama Esha, this is a desire born out of Rajoguna, and that makes a person compromise. If you see the Mahabharata, you will find Yudhishthira is a person established in Sattva Guna. So in Yudhishthira, the instance of compromise is not there. But in one case it is there, which is the example for us to understand that when it came to gambling, he was attached to that. And his desire to win, especially as he is losing, there will be more push, more desperation will be there. So one cannot drop it saying, no, it's okay, now I leave it. That's the human side of Yudhishthira, which is his weakness, where it is shown that even if one such desire is there in us, where that greed factor is there, where insecurity is there, where I have to prove, it will destroy. And what a lucky man he was. That first time when he gave up everything, he got back everything also. Because the way they ill-treated Draupadi, first of all, he had no right to put his brothers and then the wife and everybody on, what is that? Dav. I don't know in English what you call it. At stake. So, he did that, and Draupadi cursed all the people assembled there. She was going to curse them. That's where Gandhari gets, she realizes and she says, please hold back. And tells Dhritarashtra that give back everything, don't get a wrath of this kind, it will destroy your whole family. So Dhritarashtra gives back everything. And Pandavas are back to what they were. Again the second time he goes. Why could he not say no to that invitation? He could have said, no, I am not interested. It's over. That much only one has to say no. But that point doesn't come in our life. When that greed is there, that sattvic thought only doesn't come to say no at that time. Inside there will be one part which may keep telling us, don't do this, don't do this. But we don't take a stand saying no, because that Rajoguna, the fifth quality of Rajoguna is impulsive pushing. It will push us impulsively to do. So one small little part may be that conscience voice which is there, which will tell us, hello, don't do this, this is wrong. So you keep quiet. Why? Because that pleasure that one gets out of it is tremendous. So these are the implications of that word, Rajoguna Samudbhavaha. Instant gratification, pleasure that one derives out of it. Impulsively one will act. So Kama Esha, all these desires are born out of Kama. And then Krodha. So all those desires which are born out of anger, they also hurt us. So many times we do that. No? Where I am angry and I want to show that anger, I will not eat food. Bas. Le jao, nahi khao. 3 days. Arey, why are you torturing yourself? Nahi, bhook hata. Nahi khao. But I want to express that anger. To show that I am very angry. I don't know. Even basic necessity. Best is stop breathing. Best it will be. Why stop eating only? Stop breathing only. End of trouble for you also, for them also. But anger is so much. In anger, what all one does? Harming oneself, hurting oneself. So he says, Maha Ashana. The analogy that Krishna Bhagavan gives here is, Ashana means to eat. Maha Ashana means that which eats away without leaving anything remaining. Meaning completely it will devour everything in our mind. What will it devour? The peace, the balance, the happiness, cheerfulness, all the sattvic qualities gone. These Rajoguna born desires will eat away all that. Mahashana, Mahapapma, not ordinary papa. Arjuna asked about simple sin. He says these will make you do Mahapap also. What is Mahapap? There is a difference in our culture between Papa and Mahapap. So some are ordinary sins. Telling lies, cheating, ordinary sin. Mahapapa means killing a pious person, destroying a cow. They are called Brahma Hatya. Destroying the seeking in somebody. So like what Hiranyakashipu was doing to Prahlad, Mahapapa. And there are different punishments also which one gets according to that karma. Punishment I shouldn't say, I should say karma phala. It's a bad and horrible karma phala for the Mahapapa. So he says this it will make you do Mahapapa also. Mahashana Mahapapma. Vidyena viha vairinam. Understand this to be your enemy. There is nobody else outside which is the enemy. Neither the government, nor the laws, nor the other things. They can make us compromise to a certain extent maybe. But thus the kind of compromise that otherwise happens is mainly from our internal force, which is the Rajoguna born desire and anger. When we are not able to understand desire clearly, we think desire fulfillment is the way to happiness. Somehow fulfill the desire. But in Vedanta we say no. Only the dharmic way desire has to be fulfilled, then it is leading to happiness. Otherwise, it will lead to sorrow only. And these kind of desires, especially born out of Rajoguna, they are the cause of all kinds of disturbance. You see, wars happen because of that. That's called Mahapapa. What the war is happening for, you just think. In between India and Pakistan, how many years and how much of violence has happened? It's all for what? It's just for this Rajoguna born desire. People kill each other, families get separated. One falls in one's own eyes. All that happens all because of this Rajoguna born desire. One's own near and dear one once hurts. How unimaginable that is. When one is a child, one won't even imagine all that. But as one grows up, one sees that as the reality. Both the epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata, show that the household members only are responsible for the sorrow of the other people. Why? Because Rajoguna born desire. So now that he has said this desire, Rajoguna born desire, is also such in our mind that it wields our knowledge. It covers. It covers the knowledge of our own divine nature, our own nature as peace and happiness. It also covers our knowledge of what is my true Swadharma. And it creates raga, dvesha, puts us into bondage. So why did Bhagavan say that the desire is the enemy? That he is explaining now further. And he gives 3 examples where he says that how this desire wields the knowledge. So those who always think that I know so many things but I am not able to apply. The reason why we are not able to apply or live our conviction is because the desire is waiting that knowledge. It is not crystal clear to me. That's why we always say in our Shanti mantra, Tejasvina vadhitamastu, may my knowledge be bright and brilliant. And come to my rescue when I need it. At that time when I need it, the knowledge should be available. That anger is rising in me, the knowledge must be available in me to make myself quiet. Not to express it and destroy other things and destroy the happiness. So at that moment the knowledge must come to me. How will it come to me? It will not come to me that all the time it is veiled by desire, and when I require it, suddenly the desire will go away and the knowledge will be available. It won't happen like that. That's why the solution that Bhagavan gives further we will see. Very beautiful and holistic solution he gives. But at this moment he gives 3 examples, saying how this knowledge in us is veiled by desire. So more than anything else, more than saying that I need to do something else to make my knowledge practically applicable, there is no problem with knowledge in becoming applicable. Remember, the job of knowledge is not to transform. The job of knowledge is only to make us aware. For example, if I see a rose, the knowledge that my eyes give that this is a rose, what is the job of that eye? Is only to make me aware that this is a rose. And when through the eye I am seeing the rose, that knowledge has come into me that this is a rose. That knowledge by itself will do nothing. It cannot do anything. And it is good that it doesn't do anything. But how I use that knowledge is what is my choice and freedom. So this is a rose is a knowledge. But then the moment I see that, if there is a desire in me, okay, let me pluck it and put it in my hair, that is what I have done with that knowledge. The rose is not inviting me, come on, pluck me. Rose is not telling me to write a poem. How I use that knowledge, that's the job of my intellect, not the job of knowledge. Buddhi and Gyan, they are 2 different things. The job of Gyan is not to make us act. That's why in Sanskrit we have a nice line about it. We say pramanam jnapakam natu karakam. So the valid means of knowledge will only make us aware of that. It will not make us do something. So if we say what is the use of this knowledge, it is not making me do anything, that is the problem of our buddhi, that is not the problem of knowledge. So one never should think that आपके गीता पढ़ने से क्या होता है, कुछ नहीं बदला, कुछ नहीं बदलेगा. जब तक हम पुरुषार्थ नहीं करेंगे कुछ बदलेगा ही नहीं. Because just by reading the Gita nothing will happen. Maybe yes, I will have better ideas in my mind कि okay, in the Gita this is what is said, but until that knowledge is not applied, no change will happen. And in the spiritual realm, the knowledge has to get applied. How? By removing the obstacles. Because the spiritual path tells us to turn within and live in self-control, so that we experience peace within. Live in balance, live in peace, live in detachment. It is not like outside knowledge, it's not informative knowledge, it is a subjective knowledge. So, in that subjective knowledge, what is the wailing which makes me live out of balance, which makes me live in a selfish way, which makes me live where I am disturbed, is my desire. Hence, all those methods which help me to put aside these kind of desires which disturb, Rajoguna born desires which disturb me, that is my effort. Then you see the knowledge of Vedanta, how it is so glorious and it will transform. So many people have achieved that state of absolute bliss because they have worked on the desires. So 3 examples that he gives are these. Dhumena avriyate vanhihi, just like the smoke covers the fire. So Havan, when it is done, so the firewood is lit, and as the flames are burning, the wood is burning, slowly there is this smoke which comes out, and also there is ash which forms on the firewood. So that fire will become dim, because that smoke and the ash will make that fire dim. So always what the person who is conducting the Havan, that person, what will one do? One will have a funnel. So one will take that and blow hard. So the moment one blows, that smoke moves away. The ash which is deposited also moves away. The fire starts burning more brightly. So in that way, there are many people who are knowledgeable, who are scholars, who are wise, who have learned so many scriptures. But there are a few, very few desires which are there in them, which are veiling their knowledge. So by little effort, that is done. So the example which we spoke about, Yudhishthira, is an example of that. 1 or 2 desires like that which are covering his knowledge. Otherwise he was able to live beautifully. No compromise. No hatred for the Kauravas, no rag, no dvesh. He was living properly, sattvic life. But this one desire was there. So that desire which was there in him, that made him compromise. But he overcame that desire. In that 13 years of Vanvas, he overcame that desire. So by little effort, sometimes one can overcome. So what are such desires in me which are veiling my knowledge? It may be sattvic desires also. Here is the context of Rajoguna, but sometimes it may be sattvic desire also. The desire for peace, that every time there should be peace all around. The desire that I should always be in balance and meditate. Those are also desires. Here the context is only of the Rajoguna born desires. So those desires which are Rajoguna born, in some people it may be very few. So with very minimum effort it will go up. Second one, he says, Yatha Adarsho Malenacha. It's like the mirror, and this mirror has the dust. For a long time the mirror has not been used, and so there is dust accumulated on that. And sometimes you will see even some oil gets accumulated. So then if one just blows, it will not go because the dust is already stuck on that mirror. So those are the desires which are much more powerful than the earlier one. They are quite deep, and just by little effort they will not go. Much more effort is required. So one has to take a cloth and wipe. That's more than the blowing out. So sometimes the desires in us are so intense. It may be even 1 or 2. It's not just the number. It is both the intensity of the desire and quantity of the desire. Both. Sometimes it is only one desire but very intense. Or sometimes it is a few desires, but which are very weak. Then they just go away by glowing. So it is both intensity and the quantity. So this person has to put more effort. So Arjuna is the example of that. More and more efforts he has to put towards it. It will not happen just by thinking. He has to put much more effort to live in that self-control. And then the third one is the fetus is covered by the womb. Those are very, very deep desires. They don't go so easily. And just like that fetus is covered by the womb and there is only time which will help. It takes 9 months, then the child will be born. In that same way, some desires are so deep and powerful that time has to bring painful experiences. Slowly that person realizes the mistake, still continues to do. Then in some time, finally one will get out of it. It may be even lifetimes. Like Duryodhana is the example of that, third one. But in that life he could not transform. In his case it is a different situation also altogether, that he didn't want to transform also. That much deep sometimes the desire is that there is no feeling even to get out of it. One feels this is normal, what is wrong in this? This is the tamasic type of feeling, horrible feeling this is. Because what one is doing wrong has become normal. That conscience prick also is gone. Earlier conscience prick is there. So when the conscience prick is there, there is a hope of change. Ratnakar was an example of this. Normally he used to kill and loot. Mahapapa is doing on everyday basis. But luckily in his life that satsang came and he was available to transform and he got that wake up call and he took that wake up call. Many times life brings wake up calls to us, but we refuse to wake up. Not only sometimes we refuse to wake up, we go deeper into slumber. So these three types of veilings are there. So the desire in us can veil our knowledge in the way the smoke veils the fire, where little effort is enough. Or the dust veils the mirror, where more effort is required, and where the fetus is covered by the womb, where one has to wait for time, painful experiences, God's grace, and then desire to get out of it must be there, then one will get out. That's a very long process. So he says, Yadha ulben avrito garbha tatha tenedam avritam. According to that, these three examples, the desire in us veils the knowledge. Now what is it that one should do to get out of this type of a state? So that the knowledge becomes bright and we are able to live by the knowledge and not compromise. That we will take up tomorrow. So this month our session will be tomorrow and after that on Thursday. On Wednesday there is no session here. We have an inauguration of a center in Pune, so I have to go there, so I will not be here. So tomorrow Tuesday and then Thursday. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.